Hey guys, it's been so long since I've done any videos on Marvelous Designers, so I thought it would be fun to create a tutorial on an outfit. We're going to do like a long sleeve top and pants and a few other things, so let's get started. So you want to come to here, preferences, to set up your space. For anti-aliasing, I have it off. It's just going to keep your performance a little faster. Viewer control set to Maya. It makes me feel like I'm in Blender. UI, I keep centimeters on. And that's about it. I'm using an Alembic, so it's got all of my animation. When I brought it in centimeters Daz, scale is 100%, and then everything else is default. So it's like X, Y up, Z, and then nothing is checked off. So if you want to navigate around, press Alt, and your left mouse button is going to scroll. Right mouse button will zoom, and then your middle mouse button will move if you hold it down, and then if you scroll, that is also zoom. And then this is going to be like the cutting table, and this is where the 3D simulation. So this is going to be the simulation. If you click on that, then you can see the fabric move. And you also have this. I actually just discovered this today. Like, I never look at this. I don't know why. Very weird. But if you don't have any options, just leave that. But I like to keep this on default. And then you just click on this again to turn it off, or press spacebar. All right, so let's make the t-shirt first. So I'm going to delete all of this. We're going to use a rectangle and just draw that over the body. Oh, and then one more thing. If you don't have an avatar, you can use the Marvelous Designer ones and just double click on whatever folder, and you can drag and drop your model into the workspace. Okay, so we are going to click on Z, right click, and unfold. And then we're going to make a couple points. And make sure it's unfold with symmetric sewing. So we're going to click a point for the shoulder here, here, and here. And we're going to click on this and delete that one. And we're going to bring this down a little bit. And I'm just going to add pressing G, click on there, and then click here to have a center front line. So I'm going to click C and just smooth that out a little, and C for the armhole. And then Z, we're going to bring this down just this point for the shoulder, like 1.5 centimeters or something. And I'm going to click in this window. I'm just going to angle that so that it is closer to the body. Then just to make sure that the points are the same on both sides, you just want to make sure that they're both doing the same thing. And we are going to go A, Control C, Control V. This is going to be our back. And if you take this point and just, actually, let's delete that. We'll bring that up. Okay. Z, I'm going to right click and then delete curve points. And I'm going to press C and just correct that shape. And yeah, we're actually going to delete this. It's just something that I found was kind of glitchy. All right, so in this window, we're going to press 5 for the top view. And then we're just going to bring this and turn that around. I'm going to press N for sewing. Click there once and then click here. And make sure it's not twisted. Press spacebar. And we're going to go N. Click there and click there. Spacebar. It's kind of... That's not too bad. I kind of want it a little bit looser, but I will just leave it like that. Now we need to do the neckline. So we're going to go click on this and then go add offset as internal line. And I'm going to do 1.5 centimeters and extend to internal line. And the same for the back. 1.5 internal line. And I'm just going to move this. Actually, we'll click A for a second. I'm just going to reset to the default layout. If you want to change the color of your fabric, then you can just click on the fabric and scroll. Down to color, you can change it there. So yeah, I think the fit is not too bad. And now we are going to cut this part out. This is going to be the ribbing. And then we're going to choose that line, shift select both of those, and then cut and sew. I'll just make sure that these are both still mirrored. Yeah. Sometimes when I cut and sew it, the one side will not be mirrored anymore. So just double check that everything is the same on each side. Now we are going to add a top stitch. We'll do free top stitch. And then we're going to top stitch on the body here. You can see that's kind of a thin line. I'm going to make it a little bit thicker. So we're going to go to back to the default setting. And I'm going to go down to top stitch. And I'm going to change the color just so that I can see it a little easier. And we'll do the offset is how far away it is from the edge. So I'm going to have one pretty close to the edge. And then the thickness, we'll do 0.05 maybe. And the length is good, but the spacing we can do 0.2, I think. Or maybe 0.3. That's good. So we will do that also on the back. And then we're going to click on this, right click, copy. And then I'm just going to call that one offset so that I know which one is the offset. And we're going to offset it something large just so that we know like 0.5. And then I'm going to go over here. And it's just easier that way instead of making another internal line and it just gets messy. And then we'll do another one here. And so that's going to be our cover stitch. And for the neckline, we're just going to add like a little bit of thickness instead of doing two pieces. That's kind of like my quick way of doing things. And then click on here and then go thick. so that's not too bad. So everything right now is a particle distance of 20, so that just makes it sim a lot faster. But if you go 10, that's gonna slow down things a lot, but you can see it adds more geometry and it makes it a lot softer. So what I like to do is like I'll leave all of the top as 20 or 10, and then I might take just the front neckline and make that 5. But right now I'm gonna keep everything as 20. Okay, so now you can go file, save your project as whatever you want. And then we're going to make our sleeve. Whoops. We're going to use I like to use a rectangle. And then we'll go and we will set that up in our window here. Again, you can press 5, number pad. And I'm going to bring this. So I pressed A just to grab that. And then Z, right click, unfold. And we're going to make a couple points here, and one here for the armhole and diameter. I'm going to delete that point. We're going to click C to curve out the sleeve cap and bring this in a bit. So let's see the length. Click on that. Shift, select that. So the grand total length is 22.5, and that needs to be the same or close to this, which is 21.3. And so that's close enough. I'm just gonna bring this in a little bit. We'll bring the cap down. And then I'm gonna press C just to curve this armhole. Okay, now back in this window, we're gonna do some sewing again, but actually first we're gonna click on this, right click, remove linked editing. I'm gonna make some more space again. So N, click here, and then click here, and then click B, and just bring that all the way down. Whoops. Control Z. I'm gonna click that down to there, and then we're going to again click N and then make sure that it's parallel and there, and then click B in this window, click on this point here, drag that down there, and then let's sim that. So if you press Q, that'll bring you to then you can click on the pattern. So press spacebar. And that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to go, we're going to make our arm cuff. So I'm going to use a rectangle. And we're just going to make it a little bit, we'll make it the same size right now, just so you can see. I'm going to go Z and maybe a little bigger. So I'm going to go and click M here, all the way to here, and then here, all the way to here. Now click on this. We're going to right click and superimpose over. And then spacebar. And we're going to go N. You can also do N in this window. So N here, and then click there. And that will bring our cuff together. And I want this to be a little longer. So I'm just going to click on all of these and just drag that down a bit. And now we can copy those sleeve pieces. So we're going to go symmetric pattern with sewing. Symmetric pattern with sewing. And then we'll do the same for the bottom. So let's just go Control C, Control V, and N, like that. And this one, I want this to be the same width. So we can go superimpose. Make sure you have this, you're clicked on that, and then right click, superimpose over. So I'm just, if I want to alter this line, just press B and then you can drag that. Oops, that still didn't work. I don't know, what are we doing here? Oh, this needs to be deleted because I copied it from the cuff, so now that should work. And now we're going to copy that one over. But let's try and copy it in this window. So click here and then go Control C, Control V. We can bring that here and then let's just rotate that around. And this will be for the back. So we can go N and then click on B and then just drag that. Spacebar. And then we have to go N, click here and here. Oops. I mean here and here. And then also these outlines. You can do this one. You can make that one a little thicker. Okay, it's already thick because we copied the cuff. So that is pretty much it for the shirt. And then one last thing we will do is we'll just throw on a quick logo. So for the logo, you can click on this and then go to Graphic 3D Pattern. So you can click anywhere on your pattern piece and then just click OK. And these little arrows here, you can scale it up. So I'm just using some font that I made. And then you can rotate it. And if you hold down Shift, it will make it straighter. You can even bring it onto another part of the garment. And if you want to edit it further, you just go to Transform Graphic. Let's change this fabric color. So when you're ready to export everything, you can click over here on your Everywhere and then click on Material. I leave mine as 2048 or sometimes 4096. And click on Pack UVs and then Apply. And you can click here if you want to bake your normals in your AO. So just click Apply. And then once you're ready to pack your UVs, bake them. Click on Bake Textures and choose, I usually just do these four. Actually, I always do these four. So diffuse your color, metal, normal, and then roughness. And then you save those somewhere on your computer. I have the animation as stable, 1/4, and actually, you know something that is better is if you go custom, self collision count 3, keep it at 1/4 speed, make sure your FPS is the same as your Blender file, either 24 or 30, and then you just hit record, wait for it to stop, and then you go export Alembic. I keep it as Ogawa. Thick, thin is obviously going to be faster. And thick is just for like the thick rendering of the collar and then the cuffs. And then meters for Blender, 100%. And that's it. Just click OK. One thing to note is that when you are breaking, whatever, the normals, it's going to take a little while. So make sure to save your file first. So now we are in Blender and we're going to take all of our fabrics from Marvelous Designer and add them to the garment. So if you go File, Import, Alembic, and then just leave the settings as whatever they are. That's usually what I do. I think it's 1 at the top. And then you're going to go Edit, Preferences, search for Node, N-O-D-E, Wrangler. Make sure that is checked on. And then you're going to come over to your garments and you're going to create a new material. Call that something. So you can change the color of the shirt here. And the metallic is how metally you want it. And then if you want it very reflective, then you can change the roughness. And if you want it to look like a mirror, that's what you would do. Bring up your metallic and your roughness to 0. And then we're going to add some texture. So add a noise and a color ramp. And then you go Shift A, search for a bump. And you're going to drop that in there and set that to the height. And if you go Shift, Control, click, that will show you what this is doing. So I want this to be like little tiny little points all over, kind of like a cotton. So we need to bring that up. So you can see that it's really bumpy. And then if you go something like 1000, then it's very fine, and it looks like I usually use that kind of a look for satin or silk or something. And this is going to be the strength of it. So now we can go Shift A and add another color ramp. Shift A, search for a gradient texture. You just plug that into the color and then drop this in here, and now you can add, if you want 2 colors, you can have a gradient. And you can set this to, it has all these, so you can just try whatever one you like. I usually use linear or radial. And I like to set this to B-spline because then it just kind of gives it a softer look. So we're going to take this and then we're going to go Shift D. And this is going to be the color of our logo. So I'm going to make it like light aqua blue or something like that. And then we can also take one of these, just go Control C, Control V. Same with that, Control C, Control V. And then I'm just pressing G to move that down. Throw that into there. And one thing you can do is just a good way to get used to all of these nodes is just start changing things around, because sometimes you can find interesting like inventions by doing something wrong. So the logo color, what did I say I was going to do? Like light blue. You don't have to do gray, you can just do one color. And then just going to move this over here. I'm going to go Shift A, look for a mix shader and drop that here. Then we're going to plug this one in to here. And we're going to select all of these and go Control J and then F2 and then just name that logo. And then you can press G, and same with these, select all of these, Control J, F2, and fabric. And then if you want to click on this, just so it has a different color to differentiate it. So now we're going to go up here and we're going to go Shift A and search for image texture. And you're going to open up your logo. I'm going to use something different. So just make sure that your font or your logo is white and then the background is black. Should be fine if it's a PNG with a transparent, but I just go black and white. Sorry, I mean the font. What did I just say? The font needs to be white for Blender, and then the background is blank or black. And you can even change it around with the invert node. I've tried that. Okay, so anyways, we're gonna take the color here and plug that into the FAC. And so that's gonna show up. That's the logo. I did it different. I just chose kind of whatever. And then I'm gonna go Control T. And we are going to change you can change the location of your logo here. And then repeat, whether you want to repeat extend is just, I think that's like single clip. So you can just try those. I just keep it on repeat. I usually like to have my logos pretty big. And then, oh, right, the value. That's really important. So value, and then enter 1, enter, and plug that into the scale. And you can change the, just hold down shift and then drag that to the right. And that's going to change the size of your logo. And then we are also going to add a bump to this. I'm just going to make this a little more saturated. And I like to bring up the metallic. So you can see it has like a little bit of a shine there. So if you go Shift A and then search for bump, and you just plug that into the normal, and you can bring the strength down a little bit, and the height. It's going to go into your picture. So if you have, you can see it's pixelated there, but I'm not too worried about it because it's not going to be too close up. You want to have a really high resolution PNG or PSD if you want a really smooth, but you can see like it still looks like it is raised even though it's not super high res, so that works for me. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I'm gonna make this blue. Oh, and then one last thing. This will definitely slow down your render. Actually, a couple more things. You can add a ambient occlusion, and then another color ramp. And click on this and go Shift D. So that's just going to give it some shadow, a little bit of shadow effect. And yeah, that is pretty much it. I was thinking we'll just go over my render settings real quick. So yeah, 24 FPS. I usually do 30, and then for samples at 2048 or 4096 if you want like really high res, but that's gonna be very, very slow to render. So usually I keep it at 2048, and then the noise threshold 0.1. Optics is really quick, but you can do this one too. Sometimes I use composite, but kind of to add a little bit of effects if you want, but just to keep it simple, I like to go with optics, and then experimental, keep it on supported. And that is pretty much going to conclude this part 1. So yeah, stay tuned for the pants. We'll make like I was thinking like a loose cargo pant, or maybe like a textured legging with a couple of layers. Is usually sort of what I like to do for pants. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.